Round 21 of the NRL season saw the Warriors fall off the horse, the Bulldogs get back on the horse. The Broncos, well, they're just wild horses. But who will go riding with the horses? Yeah, this weekend? Nay. What's happening, guys? Burgz here, and we're back at it again for another week of tips and predictions here on the Casual Athlete. This week we have round 22 up on the major card, and what a week round 21 was. We did go all favourites last week, something I absolutely loathe doing, but we really shouldn't have because a couple of big upsets got up on the weekend, I am keen to talk about them in just a moment and go through the tips that we had for last week. But if you haven't already, guys, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week, and we can't do it without your guys' support. So hit that like button and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Now, guys, let's get into the tips from last weekend. And we started off pretty hot. We got the Storm, and then we got the Cowboys as well. Finally, my Cowboys picked up a victory. It has been a long time coming, but I do have some thoughts on the way the team is going due to some news coming through with Tom Duffy and Jake Clifford during the week, but we'll get to that very soon. The Broncos was the first big upset of the weekend, and what a big upset it was. Mitch Moses returning for the Eels, giving them some nice shape, and this team has been building and building for a number of weeks now, and I can only fathom that this win is definitely earned by the whole team and Riles. What a great victory that they can hold to put a feather in their cap to kind of finish off this season. I don't think they'll make the finals, but geez, what a spirited victory this one was. And for the Broncos, to tell you the truth, they really let it slip against a team that they probably thought that they were going to beat. I know they had a chance to win the game at the end, and Reece Walsh was offside, justifiably offside. Not sure that gets called back had Tedesco not been egregiously offside the night before. Maybe the bunker might have missed that one on the Friday night, but we digress and we move on with the tips. And the Warriors was the next big upset of the weekend. The Warriors, they seem to be fading at the moment. They're really struggling especially the last couple of weeks. The Knights only beating them on the bell, and then the Titans kind of humiliated them on the weekend at home as well. And I just don't like the outlook for the Warriors heading into the finals. They are definitely going to be there, but what kind of punch are they going to be able to throw? Are they going to be a heavyweight fighter, or are they going to be a little strawweight, just barely throwing punches from the bottom? I just don't know at this stage for the Warriors. I'd like to see them make a deep finals run, but something tells me they could be bang bang and out of finals. Moving on to the Panthers game, I had it this 1-12. Normally the Tigers make it a bit close, but Panthers absolutely destroyed them. Then the Sharks Rabbitohs game. I watched that game in Sydenham after the Beer and Footy Festival out at Henson Park, where the Newtown Jets got a fantastic victory. It was a scrappy, ordinary game. A lot of people are blaming Belinda Sharp for the quality of the game. I don't think so at all. I think this was just two teams that weren't very good on the night, and that's why we ended up with a pretty poor quality game. Then the Sunday games, Raiders with a blowout, and the Dogs also with a blowout. I did not predict them to go as well as they did against Manly, but Manly with some bad news as well, with Ola Kawatu once again injuring his shoulder. That is not good news for them, especially if they want to make it into the finals and make a deep finals run themselves. But guys, just the 6 out of 8 tips correct this week. Would have liked a few more, but again, as I said, we went all favourites, and it doesn't pay off each and every week in this competition. You've got to pick some upsets, and we didn't do that last week. We stuck tried and true to the 1 point tippers, and it's come back to bite me in the end. But guys, I'll take 6 out of 8. But let's hope we get 8 out of 8 in round 22. Let's get into those tips. All right, guys, the first game of round 22 takes place at CommBank Stadium, where we have the Storm taking on the Parramatta Eels. Now, there is some light at the end of the tunnel for the Parramatta Eels, as we've seen over the last month. They've been building and building, waiting for Moses to come in and take control of this team who has been spirited. They have been energetic at times. They have really pushed some hard-working teams like the Raiders, like Penrith, and clearly it came up trumps on the weekend. They got a big win over a team that everyone was picking as maybe a dark horse to take over the premiership heading into the final rounds of the season and potentially into the finals and be a huge threat for these finals teams. I think it was the wake-up call that Brisbane needed. Now, for the Storm, they've been dealt a fresh blow with Jerome Hughes dislocating his shoulder, and anyone who has come back from a dislocated shoulder, myself included. It is not an easy injury to get over, to come back from. It is one of those things that tends to keep happening. It's a 50% increase in reoccurrence rate as well. And to play a game where you're using your shoulders basically for half the game, which is tackling, it's without surgery, it's definitely going to be tough to come back from. So I don't think the Melbourne Storm can win the comp with Jerome Hughes out of the team. Munster is definitely going to have to step up. They will get a massive boost this week with Ryan Pappenhausen coming back into the team. He will definitely be back for this game from his calf tightness. Yeah, I do like Parramatta in this game. Just the way they've been playing recently, it's Riles against his former master in Craig Bellamy. Kind of taught him everything he knows, and now he's taken it to Parramatta, and he's been ruthless all season, but ruthless in the best way possible. This Parramatta team looks great, set for the future. God, I love him in this game. I've really talked him up, but I'm going to go the Storm in this one. I just think the experience, I think Parramatta maybe could drop their level a little bit this week, having gotten a win last week, but they're in front of their home fans. Anything could happen, but I do think it'll be close. Let's go the Storm. 1 to 12. We go to Friday night and we start over in Auckland where the Warriors will be taking on the Dolphins. Now the Warriors, they're hopping, they're limping, dragging their broke asses into this final series. One glorious step at a time, up the wires. I love the way that this team has been playing this year, but it is not looking good. And I think Warriors fans, you have to admit this, it is not looking good for your premiership chances at the moment. I do think that the losses are becoming too great. Metcalf gone and Barnett gone. The huge ones for me, they're just not really replacing them at this stage. Like the young guys are doing what they can and what they have been asked to do, but it's become like for a long period of time now. And these longer seasons come with experience as well. And you got to be able to push all the way to round 27. And they clearly didn't do that last week. They let one slip against the Titans. I think every good team maybe goes through a bit of a slump. I think the Warriors are in a little bit of a 2-week slump at the moment. Beating the Knights on the bell, not the greatest look, and then losing to the Titans. I think, guys, you need to admit that this Warriors team are not in the best position to be able to take on this Dolphin side that are coming off the bye. They coming off a big win against the Cowboys, but the advantage for the Warriors is once again that Dolphins forward pack is not looking great. Once again, there's a lot of guys out still. The Warriors have quite a big forward pack still, even without Barnett being in the team. I've got to give the edge to the Warriors here. They are at home. I do like them at home, even though they lost at home last week. But this Dolphins side, they've got a little bit about them. Isaiah Katoa is having a phenomenal season. Herbie Farmworth is easily, I would say, top 3, top 4 center in the comp. It's really a shame that he doesn't get to play State of Origin at the pinnacle of the game. I know that we talk about State of Origin being the pinnacle of the game, maybe for another video, but tipping wise, guys, you've got to stick with the Warriors in this one. I like the Dolphins as a bit of an upset chance, don't get me wrong, and I do think the Dolphins could be there in September in the final series, but they're going to have to win games like this to prove me wrong. So let's hope that they do prove me wrong, the Dolphins, but I'm going to be sticking with the Warriors because I don't think that they will. Let's go the Warriors, 1 to 12. Next game up is the Broncos taking on the Rabbitohs. And geez, weren't the Rabbitohs pretty spirited on Saturday night against the Sharks? They were out-disciplined, basically, in that game. Or I think a lot of people are blaming Belinda Sharp for the quality of the game, but there were 23 errors in the game. However, they did give up 15 ruck infringement inside 10 metres and penalties to 3 for the Sharks. I think that maybe kind of puts you into perspective maybe how hard the Rabbitohs had to try to keep this game close, and that they did. That's all they kind of need to do. If they had to get a spoon, it is possibly going to be on the back of some very serious injuries to a lot of key players for the Rabbitohs, and maybe we need to do a bit of a deeper dive on their downfall since that 2021 grand final, but that might be for another day. In this game, I really don't like their chances at all. They're coming up against a team that had their pants pulled down at home last week, and this Brisbane side are prepped and ready to put on an absolute slaughter. I think it'll be a big bounce back game for Reece Walsh. He did not have a very good game last week. And again, it seems to be a bit more rocks and diamonds again from him, like you either get the very best or the very worst of Reece Walsh, and sometimes that can happen in the same game. That's what we got last week, but I think the Broncos will get a pretty easy win here. Unfortunately for Wayne, it won't be a happy trip back up to Suncorp. Let's go the Broncos, 13 plus. We move to Super Saturday's games now, and it is celebrate good times come on for the Titans. They are now off the bottom of the ladder, and Desi's job is saved, except for the fact that they come up against the Penrith Panthers this week in what will be possibly one of the worst games of the weekend to watch. I just think that this Panthers side are going to run through this Titans side like a hot knife through butter, because the Titans got the monkey off their back last week, but they will be right back down in the doldrums again next week. Sorry, that's a little bit harsh for Titans fans. I think they'll put up a decent fight in this game, but this Panthers side, they're on a roll right now. Every single team in the comp is scared. It's here come the Panthers time, baby, and they're about to go for an 8th straight win in a row. Plus, the Titans have only won 1 out of their last 12 games against Penrith. But if they had to upset Penrith, oh my God, what an upset this would be. Magnitudes of upset. You know what it could actually, you know what could happen? And this is what I kind of hope happens. Let's give a little 30-second spiel on what I think could happen. Is that Ivan Cleary could see this as an opportunity to potentially further rest players that played a bit of origin, could maybe even give Isaiah Yeo more minutes off. Nathan Cleary, after a fantastic game last week, could have another week off. Just get these guys nice and prepped. To'o's a bit banged up. We got Liam Martin, who's coming back from a wrist injury. Probably don't need to bring him back, in this game. And I think it could be an opportunity for the Titans to really pounce. But I swear to God, on Thursday in last minute madness, if if Longy picks the Titans to beat the Panthers, wow, there'll be fireworks on last minute madness, guys. The Panthers are going to be winning this one, 13 plus. The next game up is at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong, where we have the Dragons taking on the competition leaders, the Canberra Raiders. Now, the Raiders are one of those teams that weirdly has a pretty good record at Wynn Stadium, but this Dragon side, I feel like they've been a bit of the unlucky girl at the prom this year. Prom, very American word, formal. Formal is what we use here. Unlucky girl at the formal. Yeah, let's not get too American on this show, guys. Let's maybe ease it up a little bit. Yeah, I think the Dragons have been a bit unlucky this year. They've lost a lot of games, I think, by a score less than 8 points. They did again on the weekend, but you're not going to win too many games by conceding 30 points, unless maybe against the Cowboys, who I reckon you could concede 40 points and you'd still be within a chance to win the game, because the Cowboys' defense is so bad. Don't really see how they win this game though against the Raiders. Like, the Raiders are just one of those teams where they kind of look like they're going to give you a shot. Like, they did it again on the weekend against the Knights. Like, they looked like they were going to give the Knights a chance. It was pretty even going into halftime, and then they came out in the second half and it was like the Knights weren't even there. Like, they didn't even turn up. So, man, I feel like that could happen again this week with the Dragons. Like, the Dragons are one of those teams where they could play really well for a 40-minute period, 50-minute period, and then the Raiders could just come over the top of them. I don't know if the Raiders can expect to keep doing that, though. In finals games, a lot of teams play to the very death, and rolling through teams in the last 20 minutes of the game it's very, non-finals play-esque, as weird as that is to say. But I do think they win this game. Let's go the Raiders, 1-12. We now go to Four Pines Park for what could be one of the most hotly contested games of the round, with the Seagulls taking on the Sydney Roosters. Now, this Roosters side, they got really unlucky last week. Thought that, 30 points that they put up was going to be enough to beat the Storm. But the Storm hung in there and ended up winning by just the 4 points. And the Manly Seagulls had a crashing back to earth last week. They just really let it slip against the Dogs. Hamole Alakawatu once again got injured, dislocating his shoulder. And as I've said, with Jerome Hughes, it just becomes one of those things where you can't avoid it unless you get surgery and rehab it properly. Just the risk of that shoulder coming out again is very, very high. And I think this Seagulls side, once again, they're also kind of limping into this final series. Like, they haven't been great. I honestly don't know how they got that win against the Storm, to be completely honest. Like, I'm still baffled that they managed to do that. They lost, games that were really easy to win as well. And they're one of those teams this year where they've been ridiculously weird to tip. And I'm not liking it at all. It's a bit yuck for me. So I'm actually going to get on the Roosters this week. I know they're going to be the favourites as well. They should get Nat Butcher back and Hugo Savala back for this game. But I like the Sandon Smith, Sam Walker combination. I think it brings points, but those two aren't the best defenders in the world, and no doubt they got targeted by the Storm last week. Whether the Manly Seagulls can do that same type of attack, Seagulls have definitely got some points in them, especially at home as well, at Brookvale Oval. So, I mean, like I said, it's going to be one of the most hotly contested games of the round, but I will back the Roosters to get a win and get back on track and try to get into this final series, something that they do pretty much every year, but it may come at the Seagulls' expense. Let's go the Roosters, 1-12. Our first Sunday game of the round is possibly one for the ages, not because of the teams that are playing each other, but because of the interpersonal relationships between the players and coaches that are going to be taking the field. It is the West Tigers taking on the Bulldogs, and it is going to be Lachlan Galvin's first opportunity to take on his old club. And I expect fireworks to be happening. I expect a couple of fights to be happening. I would love that to happen. I would love Galvin to get belted at one point. I would love to see, if this dog side are going to rally behind him and back him up, and are the Tigers really going to aim up and show that they didn't need him in the first place? That is what I'm looking forward to seeing in this game. If I don't get it, I will be extremely disappointed, and I will be definitely letting both of these teams have it in next week's video. But until that point, I actually think that the Tigers could snatch a victory here. And I think it could be because they could rattle a very young, very inexperienced 5'8" halfback in Lachlan Galvin. I don't know still if he's got the skills to be a halfback. I know that the attack was great last week, but it was the Manly Seagulls, and I've been saying for weeks that the Seagulls aren't that team. Like, they're not that great. And this Tigers side, when they have a purpose to be able to go out there and play, the kind of style that allows them to be free, allows Luai to prove a point. That is when they play their best football. We've seen it earlier in the season against Penrith. Luai played some of his best football. Can him, Api Coruscant, Taruva, the guys that were heavily involved in this little scuffle that they had at Tigers training, can they step up for their team and grab a victory here? I think they might be able to. Let's go the Tigers, 1-12. Last game of the round, and it is at Shark Park where the Sharks will be taking on my North Queensland Cowboys. And some big news during the week is that Jake Clifford has re-signed with the club for 2026, which I don't care about. I honestly think it's a very meh signing. I think everyone kind of knows my thoughts on Jake Clifford. I understand, like, he's going through the personal stuff, the personal side of it at the moment. For guys that don't know, that Jake Clifford is having another baby with his partner. Probably doesn't want to move around too much. He's from Townsville and everything like that, but it is coming at the expense of possibly one of the most highly touted halfback prospects in years to being let go to the Broncos. Basically, what I'm going to label as doing a reverse Tom Dearden. Like, we grabbed Tom Dearden from the Broncos because the Broncos didn't see a future with him, and he's ended up becoming the player that he is. I've had numerous arguments with people over some Instagram posts over the last couple of days about keeping Tom Duffy and how no one wants to really see past the future of the club in the next 10 years. I'm thinking, 5, 10 years down the track, where's Jake Clifford going to be in that period of time? He's having a career year this year, and we're doing terribly. Like, we are a terrible team this year. I want to see us stick to a culture that is going to be profitable for the team moving forward and into the next 5 to 10 years. And keeping Jake Clifford just isn't doing that. Like, I understand he's been a better player than Duffy this year, but we've given Duffy like 6 games. Like, honestly, the Broncos gave Tom Dearden maybe a season and a half, and he still didn't show like the kind of potential to be the player that he is now. Like, We're giving up on this kid way too early, and we're giving Clifford another chance. Like, this may be the fourth or fifth time we've given Clifford a chance, who, by the way, guys, is a 40% overall win rate as a Cowboy. He hasn't even won half the games he's played for the Cowboys. You can't argue with that. That's facts. Anyway, is what it is. A lot of people disagree with me and say that Clifford's a better player. He is right now, but I think for the future of our club, it's a really dumb move. Anyway, the Sharks will win this one, 13 plus. So guys, that's it for my tips and predictions this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your tips down in the comment section below. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We bring out so much content each and every week, and I'll catch you on the next one.